Talking about anger and frustration. Boy, did I have that this morning. You would have thought this was a Monday morning. Um, it's Wednesday. But, oh, goodness, getting the kids off to school. They actually got up today. um, let's say, I think it was Monday. They didn't even get up for a long time. They got up today and just took their sweet time. And then just doing their own little ways of pushing mom's buttons. Other than taking their his sweet time, Levi actually did really good. Kyle he's always a handful in the morning. I take him to school in the car because when he's around a lot of people, he gets wild and he can't simmer himself down. So when he's on the overcrowded bus going to school and then he gets to school, it's usually a bit of a disaster. So the school isn't too far away. Yes, I'd like to save on the gas, but it's not that far. And it's worth the peace of mind he has and everyone around him at school has if I take him to school. So every now and then, of course, the kids, something happens like today, they missed the bus. They didn't even try. This was bad. Usually they try. It was just a fail today. And then Kara says, why can't you drive us? And, maybe someday she'll understand that I wouldn't even be driving Kyle if I didn't have to. But when they get in the car with him, it's very similar to a crowded bus. It's a bunch of people and he has a hard time. So he's getting wound up and he became very difficult. Hannah, my darling Hannah, decided to cosplay to school today. She put on her, Italian Britain wig, and she comes out with her eyebrows blackened in all the way up here. And for her cosplay, she looked actually pretty dang good. Going to school, not so much. And so I proceeded to try to very calmly, and I hadn't blown up yet, by the way, mention to her that this is a bad idea. And so she said, well, I told you I was going to do this, and you said it was okay. I have no memory of that, but she insisted. So that was adding to stress because it wasn't that, I love my daughter, and I am concerned she's going to get made fun of, and that's going to tear her down and cause problems. And, we've been very blessed that she has gotten very secure in who she is, so kids usually just leave her alone because they usually don't bully people who are, who are not affected by bullying. But there are areas she's still affected by, and I wanted her to stay strong. I don't want to tear her down. So, mom's worries. And, okay, then other stuff's going on. If, I ended up just going off, hollering, slammed the car door shut, and I walked off into we have a little woods in the back. It's not like very far, I can see the car. I just had to get some air and stop myself from yelling because I couldn't not yell. I was that frustrated. So I breathed for a while and then came back to the car and kept quiet because I was afraid anything that came out would come out extremely loud. And then got Hannah to school. Before she got out, I said, Hannah, I don't want to tell her this because I don't want to set her up for a fall, but I felt I needed to say it because at least she couldn't say I didn't warn her. And I said, I'm concerned kids will make fun of you, and that's what worries me. And that was part of, the stress that was in my head. Besides, by the way, there's other stress in my head I'll talk about later. And she took it very well. And she said, well, she understood about the eyebrows. She said she'd take it off. So, I drove the other two to their school, which was like connected to her school. But anyways, to the door. And she took care of her eyebrows. And then when she was done and happy, I turned around to see, and she took the upper black off, but left them black. But I have to admit, because the whitish blonde hair hangs from the wig, hangs and kind of in her eyes, it didn't look so terrible. And she was happy. We found a middle ground. I figured she'd survive the day. a little bit better, maybe. And it could be that it wouldn't have been a problem. Anyways, I just don't know. So, and I actually, since Kyle was the one that I had gotten the most upset with, there's a park right next to the school, so I pulled in there, and you can see the lake, and him and I got out, threw some sticks onto the ice, breathed, and got back in the car, and he was happy, I was happy, and his eyebrows were not as black, and it was able to drop the children off in peace, which is so hard to regain that peace when you're angry and you're heading out the door to school, but succeeded. um, Anyways, about Hannah and cosplaying, I had I thought it was an IEP meeting, but it turned out it was a career counseling meeting with her counselor at the school. And today at 10, so I went there, and Hannah comes in, and she is adapted to, when she's dressed up as a cosplay character, she is in character. And I had told her before we left that if the teachers didn't want her using the accent, she needed to drop it. I'm not sure if that really, if she was able to do that. And hopefully the teachers didn't get upset, because she was in full character. British, I should say, Italian-British accent and all. And most of the entire meeting was with her talking in her accent. But at first it was a little difficult, because she was a little absent-minded, but then she kind of came back too, and it was, I think, a good meeting. We'll see in the future. Career counseling. That's a fun one. And it'll be interesting with each kid and completely different, I'm sure. I don't know. I think I should take career counseling and figure out what I want to be when I grow up. Um, yeah, so that was fun. Okay, so now we got Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow. Now my kids got to do Thanksgiving with their dad at their aunt's house and with the grandparents and all that 2 weeks ago. Very early. But I'm glad they didn't plan it for last week, because that's when we did the Dashio Con. And you know, I did a video earlier on my makeup, and this is exactly what I was talking about. I did my eyeliner too thick, so now it's transferring up here. Anyways, I found a way for it not to transfer, but this morning my daughter took off with my favorite eyeliner. So I ended up doing it too thick, and that's what happens. It gets up here on the hooded eyes. Now I'm turning red from rubbing it. Anyways, que sera. Yeah. Okay, so that was another thing that was bothering me that attributed to my blow up this morning, is the whole finances. Their dad's $100, you know, really, I mean, it was enough for him to give us. It was very generous, but it really wasn't enough for the trip. And but we did it anyways. Again, you know, it was one of those, well, we'll suck it up. And when the kids say they wanted something extra to eat, and I say, well, there's canned food. They don't like canned food. I say, do you want to go to Dashio Con? And suddenly they like canned food. Because we did go to the pantry the other, like, I don't remember when, a couple weeks ago, and the pantries give you a lot of canned food, and then the fresh food usually molds the next day, and then the frozen food, well, so far chicken's been edible. The sausages were bad. I'm not complaining. It's free and it's helpful, and I grew up having to eat canned food a lot because we didn't have any money then either. I just didn't want to grow up having to raise my kids this way, but one cannot always tell the future. Hopefully they will do better and learn lessons from me. I would like them to learn from what I do right, but you know, I've done a lot wrong and I can't just fix it in a day. My big hope from moving into this place we're in now, which is less rent, was that we would have more, you know, money to be able to do the traveling and go see family or go to the cons. And I know I need to be patient, because no matter how much money you're saving on rent when you first move, it takes a lot out of you financially, and it takes a while to catch up. But it just seems like bills piled up. And We are not doing better. We are doing worse. But maybe, I'm just being impatient and I need to give it another month or two. Probably the case. I hope that's the case. I just don't like it. So yeah, so tomorrow, well today I used, okay wait, yesterday I used the $10 and laundry money to buy gas so I can get the kids to school when I need to. And then today I used the remaining $4.50 for laundry money to get milk. Actually, I got like $1 left or something. So the nice thing is I have cake mix, so we can have cake for Thanksgiving. Um, but what I think I'll just do is tell my kids how thankful I am for them. The good part about it is, and I should be more thankful, is that they don't really like Thanksgiving. I'm the only one who does. I was raised with the traditional Thanksgiving, and I know that it's not, really all that historically accurate. And, I read the posts and sometimes post them myself about how terrible some of the events were that took place. But when it comes to getting together with family and even strangers and sharing a meal, I think it's really fun because, like I said, that's what I grew up doing and it was great. I remember when I was little, we would sometimes have our family from all over the country come over. And, what is it? I was in my teens. Sometimes we did volunteer things, or we would always, not really volunteer things, I did that when I was older. We usually had servicemen come over from church that didn't have their family with them, and we'd have a huge Thanksgiving with them. We often had at least one or two people we never really met before, and a lot of the, like I said, servicemen. My first experience with people being exclusive on Thanksgiving was in Hawaii at the Navy housing. I just figured Thanksgiving was, when people from different cultures got together. Originally it was, had been taught about the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. And even if that's not the real history, that's what we were taught. And, so it was just like, seemed like the, right thing to do. Everybody gets together. And so when I brought it up to these neighbors that I had actually known and spent a lot of time with about what we're going to do for Thanksgiving, they actually looked at me like I lost my marbles. And why would they want to have anything to do with me at Thanksgiving? Because they go in their houses and they close their door and lock it and they have their best china on the table and they have their Thanksgiving with their family. And I was stupid. And first off, I could think the same way about them. Kind of did. Okay, but I don't think I treated them like they were idiots. If I did, I apologize. It is easy to do that when people do it to you and try and do it back, but it doesn't usually work. It's kind of like when people who are bullied often bully back. But I think I was just in shock that they would think that was odd, and I was in shock that I would be treated so badly by people I considered friends. Anyways, there were some neighbors who felt otherwise, and we did spend Thanksgiving together. And then I also learned that those neighbors who said they only had Thanksgiving with their families actually had Thanksgiving with each other and didn't want us to know. But, when you post pictures about it on Facebook, it's stupid. People find out. If you don't want people to know something, don't post the pictures. Yeah, little snobbery going on there apparently. But I didn't know they were snobs. I guess I was kind of stupid. That's okay. So yeah, so this anyways, my kids younger memories were in Hawaii. And their first real Thanksgiving when we came back from Hawaii, they thought it was just the worst thing in the world that I ever made them go through because that was gross food. There was no sushi, no Oriental food, no Hawaiian food. It was this meat. And they used to call everything chicken except chicken. So if you try to give them steak or turkey or pork, they're like, I don't like chicken. And then you give them chicken. I don't like beef. Anyways, and of course they do eat those things in the Oriental food. But they really love seafood. So, it's taken them years to finally be like, okay with American food and not think I'm trying to torture them on Thanksgiving. But, so, it's fine, really. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Kara doesn't like cake, but we're going to have cake. Maybe I'll find stuff to make a pie out of just for me. Not that I need the calories. um, It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this month goes. We only have a couple more days. The hard part about being so broke before the first is you get a list of things you need. And then the first comes around, and if you buy everything on that list, you're broke again. It's like, bad cycle. I would love to just get out of this broke cycle anyways. That whole being positive thing, I still have a long ways to go on that. I was not positive this morning. But even when I get upset, there's something in me that knows things are going to work out and it's going to be okay. It's just not as in the front of my face at the moment. So anyways, I hope everyone else has had at least somewhat of a good Thanksgiving. I'm sure there is a zillion more things for me to talk about, but this video is getting long enough, and I wish everyone a lovely day or evening or whatever it is. All right, sayonara.